My name is Ralph Clark, and I'm the president and CEO of ShotSpotter Incorporated. And we're a Silicon Valley-based technology company that provides precision policing solutions to help law enforcement agencies respond to, investigate, and deter crime. These solutions are used by over 120 cities and their respective police departments here in the U.S. We're here today to announce the opening of our first satellite office that will include an extension of our Incident Review Center, which I hope you'll have the opportunity to see right after our ribbon-cutting ceremony. I'm thrilled and grateful to have Mayor Muriel Bowser and D.C. Metro Police Chief Robert Conte joining us today. I'm going to formally introduce Mayor Bowser in a moment and give her an opportunity to make some introductory remarks. But before I do that, I want to do two things. I want to first personally thank Chief Conte and the men and women of Metro PD for everything that you do to keep D.C. safer for everyone, regardless of zip code. You're leading the way in the innovative use of technology and embracing community partnerships to help make a difference. Thank you. Let me take a few minutes to briefly provide you all some background and context on ShotSpotter. I'm extremely proud to work alongside my colleagues in a company that is not only a leader in precision policing technology, but also a company that is purpose-built from the very beginning. Our inspiration comes from our founder, Dr. Bob Schoen, whose core belief was that the highest and best use of technology is when it is harnessed to promote social good. That has been and continues to be our North Star as a company. As a company, we're mostly known for the acoustic gunshot detection technology that has been used in over 120 cities, comprising 900 square miles of coverage. Our technology incorporates sensors that can detect, locate, and alert on instances of outdoor gunfire within 30 to 45 seconds of the trigger being pulled, with location accuracy of well less than 85 feet. What makes this solution so compelling for agencies driving comprehensive gun violence reduction strategies is that sadly 80 to 90% of the time a gun is fired in our most vulnerable communities, there's no call to 911 to report that event. That means there's no police response. The lack of response means that there's little to no deterrence, and sadly it drives the overall normalization of gun violence in these communities. But most tragically, it undermines the trust and legitimacy that a community has in its police department, which in theory is supposed to be there to serve and protect that community. Conversely, our solutions get officers to the scene of criminal gunfire quickly, precisely, and safely. If officers are not assisting victims or engaging shooters, they are more likely to recover physical forensic evidence, interview witnesses, and most importantly, signal to that community that they care. And this is a critical component in any gun violence reduction strategy. We're encouraged to see President Biden announce a number of important steps to help cities curb the surging gun violence that we're experiencing, including the use of the American Rescue Plan funding for investment in gunshot detection. Establishing our satellite office here in D.C. to be closer to policymakers, appropriators, and thought leaders such as Noble, the ICP, and the Police Foundation, Jim Birch, where are you? Thank you very much for coming, is more than timely. And with that out of the way, I'm now honored to introduce Mayor Bowser. Some of the most brilliant people I have the opportunity to come across also tend to be the most humble and understated. So I'm going to embarrass the mayor here for a moment by reflecting on some of her key accomplishments as a part of her introduction. First elected in November of 2014, in 2018, Muriel Bowser became the first woman ever reelected as the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the first mayor to earn a second term in 16 years. Since taking office, the mayor has taken bold steps to reset D.C.'s global and national competitiveness, speed up affordable housing production, diversify the D.C. economy, increase satisfaction of city services, which is truly where the rubber meets the road, and invest in programs and policies that allow for more families to live and thrive in Washington, D.C. She's added more than 57,000 jobs. She's reduced unemployment by 28% and increased D.C.'s government annual spending with local business by $200 million. I'm so proud of how she's running her city and admire her steadfast efforts to reduce gun violence and build safer and engaged neighborhoods for all the residents in the district, including her advocating for D.C. statehood. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mayor Muriel Bowser to say some comments. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is great to see you all here. And Ralph, you've probably been hearing me say that DC is open, and now ShotSpotter DC is open. So let's give them a big round of applause. And I've had the opportunity to visit you, to see how the technology works right in your offices in Silicon Valley, and I'm very happy that you're bringing that technology here. And you exemplify one of our strategies to create jobs in D.C. and one of our strategies to submit our reputation as a technology center. And that is to lure East Coast locations for West Coast companies. And we've done it a few times now. And so we're proud now that ShotSpotter is on that list. We know that we are a fast-growing tech center. Tech companies like DC, like for, the same reasons other people do, great culture and restaurants, fantastic transportation, parks, access to the entire East Coast, but also our brilliant workforce. And we know that people will continue to move their companies to DC and to locate their families here for all of the things that our taxpayers allow us to invest in. So we are very, very happy about that. You help us also tell the story when I go up onto Capitol Hill, and some people think that we're only the federal government here. Well, we know that's not true. It is a true fact that our fastest growing sectors are, of course, in technology, continues to be hospitality, medicine, and education, and all of those private sector jobs are allowing DC residents to earn good paying jobs. I met with the president this week, Ralph, where his focus was, of course, on how we make all of our cities safer and our country safer, and the federal government doing all that it can to work on federal policy levels, but also fund cities appropriately. We are investing in Building Blocks DC, which is alternative to policing strategies. We're investing in policing strategies as well, because we know our residents want safer communities. They want justice for victims as well. But they want the system to work and be fair for everyone. ShotSpotter allows us to make the best use of our police resources. And it allows us to pinpoint exactly where we have sounds of gunshots when we may not actually have a shooting. And the police use that intelligence in all the ways that Chief Conte knows better than me. But it's very, very important. And it is also important that elected officials like me have another objective set of numbers to look at when the police chief or when lawmakers come to me to ask me what resources we need. So I am just thrilled that in addition to being part of our public safety solutions, that ShotSpotter is now part of our economic development solutions. So welcome, Ralph and team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bowser. So with that, I think I'd like to invite many of you to stay and take a tour of our Incident Review Center to learn more about our precision policing solutions, which go beyond acoustic gunshot detection to also include a patrol management solution as well as an investigative case management solution. We're tying that all together in what we're calling our precision policing platform. So this is not our office, unfortunately. This is a common area, as I've been saying. Our offices are much more modest space upstairs, and we are looking to add some more people to the payroll here, Mayor Bowser, so thank you very much. And you now have Dylan who I think you've met before, my daughter, she just recently became a resident of Washington, D.C., working for a high-tech company. So we're completely vested in your vision of Washington, D.C. So with that, I think we have some time for a little Q&A. Or are we doing the ribbon cutting first? Q&A. Yep. Okay.
I forgot that part.
Okay. Great.
Any questions? Yes.
Will the facility here be evaluating for all of your spots or just DC?
All of them, all 120 of them, including one in South Africa, in the Bahamas. I'm sorry. It'll be monitoring our deployments across the United States, including deployments internationally in the Bahamas, as well as Nelson Mandela Bay, South Africa, and soon to be Latin America, we hope. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Will there be an expansion of devices? I don't know if that's the right word, but expansion of the actual program here, or is it just the offices?
Let me ask the chief to talk about how we make decisions.
Thank you. Yeah, so we have a pretty robust deployment of ShotSpotter here in our nation's capital. And as we go about, again, like now times through budget season and so forth, those are our assessments that we make. Those are, I promise you I didn't do that. Those are assessments that we make as we go about our day-to-day, just trying to figure out, making sure that we maximize our coverage. As an example, if there is an incident in the city right now where we have a ShotSpotter incident, I would get a tone similar to that, but on my cell phone, and I would know, like, okay, we've just had 20 shots at a particular location. So to his point about sometimes we see in community where people don't necessarily call the police, we still need to respond because there could be, someone in need of assistance in a wooded area, and with the ShotSpotter coverage that we have, we feel pretty confident about that. Sam? Sam, I can't give you all the secrets, man. But we have a pretty significant.
He gave us 900 square miles or something like
Yeah,
I don't know.
we have a pretty significant coverage around D.C., especially in areas where we see significant gun violence in our city. And I think if you were to overlay a map of where we have these issues in our city and where we have our ShotSpotter coverage, that it would be very spot on.
Places where there's a history of gun violence.
And some that are not. We've expanded out a bit. Our city has changed over the course of the years. I mean, we got into this business back in 2006, I believe, here in the city, and we've had to, as years have gone on, we've had to make adjustments. We've had to expand, and we've done so. I think the last expansion was somewhere around 2018, thereabouts. We've expanded it. So, as we assess these things every year, where are shots coming from, where are shootings, where are ADW guns are coming from. We need to expand ShotSpotter a little bit. That's when I kind of go with hat in hand to say, hey, we need to think about expanding our capacity a bit.
Hundreds, thousands?
Hundreds of thousands of what?
Hundreds of ShotSpotters in the city.
We have a lot. We're good. We're covered. Yes, sir.
Hi, Scott Taylor, 7 News. Chief, I want to ask you real quick about the recent carjackings. Why are you not using bait cars to catch carjackers? We used one a couple years ago, and with your officer's help, actually caught 2 suspects and prosecuted.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up. Over the last couple of hours, the last couple of hours, the last 12 hours, we had a significant spree of robberies that have occurred across our city. I'm happy to report within the last hour, we've located the vehicle with 4 suspects inside of the vehicle. They were asleep inside of the vehicle. There's property inside of the vehicle. Appears to be at least one firearm inside of the vehicle that we can see, and our police officers, our carjacking task force specifically, are the ones that were able to bring this case to closure. There are going to be several cases connected to this right now, upward somewhere between 9 and 12 cases that are connected. We didn't need a bait car to necessarily do that. We do deploy bait cars at times. Most recently in the 2nd District, they use it, but we want to make sure that the tactic certainly works for the specific crime that we happen to be targeting at that particular time. So I'll have more information about the arrest of the 4 individuals that we believe to be involved in this robbery spree. But again, this all just really occurred within the last hour.
I've got one question for the mayor.
Sure. And you are, I'm sorry?
Scott Taylor with 7 News.
Okay.
Do you have any message to the teens who are committing these recent violent crimes and also to their parents, Mayor?
I have a message to anybody who commits crime in our city, and that is that the police are going to use every tool at their disposal to find you and hold you accountable.
And do you have any specific details on what you're doing to make sure that citizens are protected? Because there has been a rash of teenagers as young as 14 who are armed, who are robbing people.
I'm happy to talk to you about our entire public safety strategy. Yes.
Yeah, Chris Mills with The Hill. I'm curious about how ShotSpotter fits in with MPD's existing sort of monitoring technology, how you all see that working in conjunction, like keeping track of what's going on in D.C.
What do you mean monitoring technology?
License plate readers, databases of like areas with more crime. I'm just kind of curious how those interact together.
I think that the chief talked to you about how they use the technology to inform how our resources are deployed broadly in the city, including patrol resources and all of our specialized units.
Just a quick follow-up there. Is there any concern that that will like create a cycle where you have ShotSpotter saying there are a lot of shots here in certain areas of DC, Ward 7 and 8 have like way more reports? Are you all concerned that might contribute to like over-investment of resources in certain areas?
No. Yes.
You can't give us two or three specific details on how you're trying to stop this?
I'm sorry. There was another question here. I'll come back to you. Okay. Yes, Sam.
Looking at the neighborhood crime reports, I live on the Hill, and there were like, the last 2 days, there were like 4 robberies within Boston. Is the thought this is one group, or is this the thought that this is several groups?
No, we think that this particular group, and more will come out regarding this, but we think that this particular group have been involved in multiple robberies over the course of the last couple of days. Absolutely.
Do you think there are others out there other groups doing the same?
I think you may have one-offs, but for this particular group, and these individuals, I should say, are known to us. We've dealt with these individuals before, and I think that's where we really need to kind of focus. Why are we still dealing with the same individuals that we've arrested before? As I said, they're no stranger to the Metropolitan Police Department. They're no stranger with respect to the crimes that they've committed. So we want to continue to focus on that and making sure that in terms of accountability, that we're doing the things that we need to do to hold these folks accountable once they are arrested. Yeah, right now it appears that the individuals involved are teenagers. There's still some unfolding of the investigation, and it could be one additional suspect that that may not be a teenager that we're looking for.
But you're thinking by getting these guys off the street, you've solved a lot of these robberies?
Yeah, so we got part of the investigation, as you know. We got to now connect back with the victims. We have property that we have to connect back to the victims of the robberies that have occurred over the course of the last couple of days to really piece everything together. Again, we're in the very preliminary stages. These arrests just happened within the last hour, so there's a lot of information that I probably don't know that has occurred just within the time that I've been standing here. But I'm confident. I'm very confident that the individuals that we have are very much connected to these robberies that we've seen over the course of the last couple of hours.
Chief, with all the cameras we've got out here, have you caught some of this on video?
So that's part of the investigation, and I will always and continue to support the mayor's rebate program. She has made significant investments in that, and I can tell you that a number of the cases that we're able to close and get additional evidence to support those cases are coming from cameras, just everyday citizens who have taken advantage of the mayor's camera rebate program. We go door to door, we conduct canvasses, or sometimes people just send the videos to us, and those images, those videos, they help us really kind of solidify the cases that we have.
Great, thank you very much. One last question, and it doesn't necessarily have to be directed to me. Excuse me. One more question. Yeah.
I answered your question. Excuse
I'm
me.
sorry.
There are other reporters here, sir.
Excuse me, Scott. I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Yes, sir. Please.
Chief Mike Balsamo.
Okay.
I'm hoping you might be able to just talk a little anecdotally about the arrests of juvenile offenders, but
Yeah.
It seems as if DC is somewhat of an outlier with other cities in the number of juvenile suspects who seem to be cropping up, but also in the way that prosecutions happen within the district. Adult offenders being prosecuted by federal prosecutors here, and then juvenile offenders generally referred to the DC Attorney General's office. Can you talk if there's
Yeah,
a
sure.
strategy?
Yeah, I would disagree with your assessment. I think D.C. is right in line with what we see in just about every major city across the country with respect to juveniles and juvenile offenders being involved in crime. I think that there are some juveniles who certainly have engaged in criminal behavior, and there are issues that are associated with those juveniles, and there are different diversion programs or assistance that they may need to assist them. But quite frankly, sir, I think that there are just some people that we just need to hold accountable, period. When they go out and continue to victimize people in communities, whether it's in Washington, D.C. or as far away as the West Coast, it doesn't matter. There has to be a measure of accountability in place. Our responsibility is to bring those individuals into custody. What happens to them in the rest of the judicial system, really, there are other individuals who would have to really kind of give you a response to that. But here in the Metropolitan Police Department, here in the District of Columbia, we'll bring those individuals to custody, just like we just did with these 4 individuals who committed this spree last night. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let me just wrap up for my rude friend here. But I also, yes, you were. I want to, excuse me, I'm speaking. Excuse me, I'm speaking. And let me just add on to what the chief said. And part of my discussion with the president this week was ensuring that all of our federal partners are open like we are. MPD is open, DC jail is open, all of our supervision agencies at DYRS are open and in person. And it is important that our courts are operating in person, the United States Attorney is operating in person, and the supervision agencies, including those that work for the courts that are responsible for juveniles, are open and operating their services in person. And so all of the pieces of the puzzle have to be working together. And there has been a significant fall off of those services during COVID. I am so grateful to the people of the District of Columbia and all of our businesses who've made the sacrifices that have allowed us to get open. And now it's important that all of the systems work together. Now, your question was about robberies, and I think that the chief just talked for the last 10 minutes about robberies, but let me just emphasize to you and to everybody listening that we take robberies as seriously as any crime in the District of Columbia. For several months, the chief has been operating a robbery and carjacking task force. That includes our jurisdictional neighbors. We know that these crimes are happening across our borders, and it's so important that Metro, that Montgomery County, that Prince George's County are all working in concert together. Sam is exactly right. Folks that are doing these crimes aren't exactly the smartest people, generally, and we are using all of our investigative tools, from cameras to anything else that we need, and that includes on the Metro. You can't get on the Metro without being picked up by a camera. Everybody should know that. So if you're committing those crimes in and around our stations, and if you're using stolen vehicles, the police department and this task force will locate you and hold you accountable. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sure.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
I got to promise not to use that.
Please sit, please.
I promise. And
We're going to pick you over there.
yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you. And Ralph, we need you facing out.
What am I doing? Am I
You need to face this way.
All right.
Right there.
And then come over.
Great.
Come on.
A tough one.